And unmute it. Did you unmute? We're doing governance first, you said? Oh, I don't know. Oh, you said you're up.
Someone pick an order.
Oh, okay. I think chair of governance, that's why I thought you might use up. It doesn't matter.
What's that?
It doesn't matter what order you want to go in.
Someone pick.
Okay.
Let's do governance first.
Okay, sure. So we're gonna open the governance committee meeting
Yes.
and, I guess, do we just need to do a roll call, Megan?
We have it
We have-
before, no? We
Yeah,
do
we
have
have
a quorum, yes.
So, yeah, so I think that the idea here was that we wanted to revisit our discussion around the committees, and I think the main thing was that, if we could streamline our committee meetings by using Zoom, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, and that, do we, and I think I mentioned before, the county, our rules of order govern, our committee structure and we also have a Zoom policy, so much of the same things that the IDA is subject to, compared to the county, but I think what I was saying briefly to Megan is that, and we discussed this at the last meeting, our committees don't make any decisions. I mean, they're vetting, but, we're not, compared to the county, our committees are voting on budget allocations, resolutions that are moving forward for the board then to confirm. Our committees really don't have that formalized process, so, I don't know if we, not to undermine our committee system, but we could, look at clarifying that our committees aren't making any recommendations, and I think then that would allow us to have those committee meetings virtually. It's just a bigger question. I know Megan reached out to Joe Scott, if, with those meetings, can we have those meetings without them being subject to open meeting law? They wouldn't really be meetings. That's the way I would say, if you're having those meetings virtually and there's not a quorum, they're not really an official meeting, so they wouldn't be subject to open meetings law. That's,
Yeah, we're not voting on any
right,
action.
that's, so why couldn't we do it, right? So, but I don't know if we want to do that for every committee. But
Well, and just keep in mind too, right, from my understanding, the recommendation is that, but if we did have a quorum
in the room,
in the room, that would be,
then it would be an official meeting, that is
Correct,
correct,
yeah.
yeah. So I think the bigger question is that you couldn't really, you really couldn't do a hybrid.
yeah.
Because if you had a quorum in the room, but would we even have quorum? I don't know.
Well, I think the goal would
You're
be
not voting,
sufficient.
you need a quorum? I mean,
Essentially, no is what, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't need a
recommendation
quorum.
is.
so
But if
how do
you-
you,
But just keep in mind, we used to vote on some things in committees, which moved them out of committees because we were struggling to get the quorum. So there could be time, whether it be finance, or there could be moments for potentially projects where there might be a reason for a formal vote, and we would just have to know that ahead of time. To then have an official meeting in person. if we
My
were to
goal would be
change
is
that.
to become as efficient as we could be and get as much attendance as we can get to discuss what we're gonna discuss. Really, as you say, we can leave our decision-making to our board meeting, and this is all feeder, and if we could do that and allow us to get more people at least in the conversation virtually or here, I think we pick up the potential for participation and a little more productivity, and that would be the goal, I think, of our entity. And why not? Why shouldn't we lead the way to government to show how to do it more efficiently? We don't get to wait for someone.
That's a big open meeting.
Well,
We don't know. That's a big open.
even if we have a quorum, there could be 2 or 3 other people involved. I mean, if we make our committee meetings, we don't need to vote on things, we make recommendations to the board. So if we're doing that, and that's a more of a casual operation, then quorums don't matter as much, and we can have Zoom meetings and have everybody here, and then we get back to work at 9:00. It fits in everybody's schedule, in my mind, if we can make that work.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, did you send this out yesterday? I totally didn't get a chance to review it, but just, what they're, and the third thing is exactly what I said,
Yes.
so that's, but the first one and two are actually what the county does as well.
Where you
So-
have your meetings right before. or after.
Exactly, if we have late business, then we will actually meet, the day of the board meeting and, if there are things that are missed, you know, that in the regular committee cycle, so, and that's exactly what, we should absolutely do that. Yeah, we could schedule,
We talked about that.
yeah, we did talk about it, yeah, if projects are audit and finance needed to take action, we could
We just
do
do
it
it right before the board.
right before the board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so technically, I think if you had to do that, you bump the board meeting time to 8:30,
Right.
you know, to allow for any committee business. But yeah,
So are you talking about
But it's.
having
the
committee meetings?
recommendation 3 says
Yeah,
that,
people
yeah,
can come virtual, can be virtual?
yes.
But it
Then-
still couldn't be a
then-
quorum though, right?
No, it would,
Because if I say to you,
No
okay, we don't have a quorum, we're gonna go virtual, that fourth person can't say, oh, now I can make it, because now it's virtual.
But virtual wouldn't be,
It's
wouldn't
not a-
count for a quorum.
Oh,
right,
right, because
they-
now it's.
yeah,
So
they,
isn't there two issues? If you have a quorum in a room, you have to go public, right?
Yeah.
right,
And so if you allow virtual, unless you make sure you don't have a quorum in the room,
But sometimes
You've got
they
it.
wouldn't do hybrid, it'd be full, like, 50
Right, we
minutes.
go full.
Every committee.
fully, or maybe it's not every
That's what I'm
committee,
saying, every
that's
committee
a
virtual.
discussion, I mean, you know, for example, like governance committee, I think, why wouldn't that just be virtual? If we ever needed to call for that meeting, you know, outside the constraints of, you know, if it needed to be a separate meeting. I don't know what the preference is for projects, for audit and finance. You know, it's, I personally don't mind all virtual, just to say, you know, it's,
That makes a difference.
Yes.
Yes.
As Jim was saying, that makes it so much better
Mhm.
for someone to attend virtually.
Right.
well, versus hybrid, you can't really, there is a connection issue.
If you're gonna do it all in person or all
Yes.
virtual,
Yeah.
then in between, it's so tough.
So
for
the
everybody.
focus would be on a quorum once a month for the every board meeting.
board meeting.
And if a committee met virtually and actually wanted to push something forward on a vote of the committee, they would meet for 5 minutes prior to the board meeting. Bingo.
Yes.
That make sense? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, that's basically what's
Right.
laid out here in 1, 2, and 3, yeah. Julie, what's your,
Can you go down?
just to ask you,
We
do
have a quorum.
you have a strong feeling on, going one way or another on this?
I'm almost leaning toward that we could do committee meetings and the board meeting on one day. I mean, our finance meetings don't really take that long.
What was the contrary thing in here about not allowing the public any kind of notification of what the committee is recommending? Was that, didn't I read that in here someplace? If you
You know
have-
what, I read, I mean, maybe that isn't, I read is the issue for us, right, is we wouldn't have any time between board and,
Right.
between committee and board to contemplate any
Right.
recommended action if we
Yeah.
did it more, like, same day, right, so, but you could always table that to the next.
The other thing is that if they had a question for you, that you wouldn't be able to then research and look at. it. I
Correct,
think that's
correct.
really makes it tough for, then just have a big board meeting almost, because you're not gonna have time to reflect and find out additional information. I, having it the same day would be, I think, tough to do. To not be just repetitious.
Well, just from a calendar perspective, you think about coming to a board meeting, you have stuff you want to talk about, and we're all busy, and what happens is you get the information bumped up against the meeting,
It's.
you don't have enough time to really
Totally
absorb
agree with
it,
you.
to really make,
That's a really good
just
point.
have the right discussion, so I
Well,
think
fine.
having virtual committees ahead of time helps.
And the reality, I think from all of us in this room, the likelihood, if we can do virtual, of a quorum being here physically isn't a great risk of happening too often. I mean, it's more efficient. I do it from my office. I love you all. If I could just get done and go back to work again, I think a lot of us are busy and that's what we would do for the committee meeting. And we'll show up for monthly meeting. It can be a feeder activity into the monthly meeting. It can be more, we get information exchange. And we become more nimble and efficient, which is what I think our goal ought to be.
It's much more important when we're making an official decision.
Yeah.
That we're here in person.
Yes,
Once a month at the board meeting.
Yeah.
And the committees
It's not
are
as if you don't
prep
need
work.
I'm perfectly satisfied with virtual for committee meetings and then regular board meeting.
Was there a reason just hearing kind of where we're all at? Do you still agree with, you're still looking for a same day, or do you understand kind of from our perspective, the ability to have that slight gap between committee meetings and board for research absorption, right, whatever that might look like, to also then have the board meeting?
If people don't attend the committee meetings, and then we have an issue, a resolution or whatever at a board meeting, those people who weren't at the committee meeting sometimes don't want to vote on anything, indicated that, hey, this is brand new to me.
Okay,
I think
but-
you're gonna have better attendance at the Zoom meetings.
Yes, Zoom meetings are better attended.
You're gonna have. better
Easier to
attendance.
And
It's
the
easy to
and the
just
quality of the
sign up.
transmission
Yeah.
now is such that.
Yeah.
You know, you sitting here, it's gonna be a better meeting.
Yeah.
As far as being able to see people and hear people ask questions. Because right now, we're struggling to have effective committee meetings.
Yeah.
Because we don't have enough people at different times.
Yeah.
Based on vacations, job requirements, not me obviously, but everybody else.
But you can also dial in wherever you're at for
Exactly.
half an hour. It's not a trivial place.
And I guess I think the option would be is let's try it this way, and if we don't get the attendance, if we're
Yes,
struggling with
yes.
attendance, then we go back and we readdress, do we have to just do it one day a month, and really, people really need to make the commitment to.
Yeah.
I could go to towns, we could sit in a new vehicle and dial in from the car.
We could, you know.
Yeah.
I just wonder with the board meetings, we kind of carved out like an executive session as, just as a standing. I just wondered what if we, like our board meeting started at 8, what if the board meeting started at 8:15? I'm just thinking of the audit and finance piece, maybe, for example, the first part of the board meeting should really be audit and finance officially approving the bill. Is that how necessary is the
We've moved
bill?
that, we've moved that to.
That's
the
out,
board.
right?
Yeah.
So there's really nothing the
Yeah.
committees are officially.
But it's not a bad
Right.
idea to have the standing 8:15, so you have 8, I don't know what people's schedules look like, so you always kind of, so we don't have to update, if we do need to do a committee.
Then it would be at
It'll
8 o'clock.
be 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then
So-
at 8:15.
Cause I wasn't sure if on finance, I know we present the bills, but I guess we haven't been technically
Approving
approving.
them, no, we move that to.
Could we're gonna have to make an official decision at the board meeting on this, correct?
Well, you have a quorum right now to make any official recommendation that you want to the board.
But they would have to approve.
The board would
have
correct,
to
yes,
approve.
yes.
So you're,
Yeah.
so
I
it's
would
back
make
to.
a recommendation, to do committee meetings virtually, assuming no quorum.
Will be no need for a forum, so essentially we'll always be 100% virtual for committee
Correct, yeah.
meetings. And then the other recommendation would be to move the board meeting to 8:15, allowing that 15-minute window should we need to call a committee meeting on the day.
Or get our coffee before.
Or get
we
your
come to
coffee
the
before you
meeting.
come to the meeting.
I'm saying, let's have priorities. Right, Jim?
Absolutely, and I'd like to second the vote, and not under any of those grounds. It's because I'm worried about the safety of all of you driving so much. Now you don't have to drive.
We just had an exit interview with somebody complaining about that.
Oh, always thinking
For
about.
auto insurance, you should be off the road more.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Generations, yeah.
Formal vote then? Yeah. Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
So, and I don't think this is gonna require any bylaws change, but I guess we can ask that question. I just, we're not gonna have quorum. I think it's
Yeah.
just operating within the guidelines of the bylaws.
Yeah.
It's just a policy that I think we wanna capture in the minutes at the board meeting.
Yeah.
And with just a recap that we are gonna, it's a pilot, we're just trying this out. I think then we'll close this meeting, is that?
So move,
Yeah, so
move to adjourn.
I just want to say, as one who's used the virtual probably more than anyone
Yeah.
in the history of the organization, because of my circumstances, it's been a great way to keep in touch.
Yeah.
And also the new setup I found at the last meeting to be very usable,
User friendly.
user friendly, yeah.
Jump into audit finance. Jump right into the agenda, skipping comments. There's financial statements. There's not only the year-to-date financial statements, but the budget, comparative budget. Just make one note on the third page in the profit and loss, which has March and year-to-date. Should be March 24 and year-to-date, so it's March 23. It's just a typo, just carryover. So does the staff have anything to touch on in the financials? There's no surprises in here.
I know this is a weird thing. Is there a reason we have on the adopted budget where we have 24 adopted, 23 adopted and year-to-date? When I'm just looking at it, it just, your eyes are jumping around in terms of where you're trying to look and compare. Is there any way we can do either 23 adopted, 24 adopted, and year-to-date, March? So just something, so I don't know, whatever, when jumping between 24 and 23 and then going year-to-date was an eye.
You
You
understand?
guys understand what I'm saying there?
Start with 23.
Either I'm gonna start from left and go to right, yeah, or right to left, but.
Questions or comments on financials? Anything from your perspective?
Just want the board to know that, right now, this equipment is not belong to us. And I asked Megan to purchase, for about $2,100, this equipment so that we can keep our own here.
This from your case?
Yeah, it's ours right now. Although we're giving you guys the TV, I believe, at least.
The TV in the cart, yeah. And it's actually a little more than 2,100 because we have to pay for the room, like a Zoom room, our own Zoom room.
Yeah, for the licensing, but you should be
So
able
it's
to go
21
off
for the
of
equipment.
GoToMeeting.
Yeah, and we're in Zoom now.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're not gonna interrupt it like an insurance.
Especially if it's so, yeah.
Just kidding.
No.
Zoom in.
Forget it. Not worth repeating. I think it's a great idea. I think this is hugely helpful.
So other than that, I don't have any.
No new and unfinished business? Okay, motion to adjourn?
So
Projects, here we go. I have no comments. I want to hear all the exciting news, Jody, about our progress.
can Larry's live?
Larry's live. Hi, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
So we'll start with.
Good morning, everybody.
We can't hear you, Larry.
Good morning. I think I just unmuted myself.
Oh, okay. Now we can.
We're still waiting for the Public Service Commission to set a public hearing date. It's been referred to the Office of Rates and Tariffs, and I know that John Hammer had a meeting with them yesterday. Late today, I haven't heard back from how that went. He had a meeting also with the president of the Public Service Commission. So,
This is about NICEAG?
yes,
Okay.
I see it as supporting it and wants to move ahead. I've been working with Angelica Stewart of DEC to get our final permit. She talked to me on Tuesday and basically said they're implementing a new internal system for approvals. And it's causing delays on all of their permits. She was hoping to have it resolved by last night, but I haven't gotten an email from her this morning.
So no shovels in the ground until that permit arrives? Is that what we're saying?
That's not necessarily true. We could do work around where the road entranceway comes in. The problem is that some engineering doesn't want us to sign the contracts with Anjo until we have that permit. Because he said, what if, for whatever reason, they don't give you a permit, and then you're still on the hook for $1.6 million.
Right.
Joey, I think, isn't it the issue, they want a start date for construction?
I talked, well,
That's the key, isn't it?
I talked to Anjo Construction 2 days ago. They actually called me and said, you know, we'd like to schedule a meeting probably for next week on a construction conference with both home engineering, Anjo, and our office. They indicated that they have till July 1st to start construction. Because after July 1st, their contracts with their vendors change and the cost can increase. So they said, as long as we can get it done within the next couple of weeks, or even within May, they're happy with that. Okay. So we're moving ahead with that, and hopefully we'll have a permit.
So what's the blockage? DEC?
Yes. They've approved it. She's told me verbally they've approved it. She sent us an email saying that they've approved it, and I'm just waiting to get the permit.
Sounds like we don't do a system upgrade and their systems aren't functioning properly.
Apparently it's not just our project, it's all DEC.
Misery loves company, but it doesn't make me feel like that. Okay, I mean, it's New York State at its most incompetent. We change the system so we all have to wait some more. You know, how many years? 30 years we're working on this industrial park. Now we're gonna wait some more. We were gonna start April 1st and now it's.
It's the urgency of the fact that we're entering, we're already in it because we don't have any frost in the ground. Dead and almost in the first month of construction, you know, if you're doing, you know, outdoor work, you know what I mean? And we used to go through it with the state of New York for school construction. Like, guys, if you give us permission in October, it doesn't help us. We have to wait another whole year and pay the inflation on products, and it's not your fault, it's not our fault, it's just the way it is.
I'm curious if any of the communication, if, again, you might be getting something today, right? But if we don't have anything by the end of this week, I'm just curious if there's communication from your contact at DEC that would allow Hunt Engineering the comfort level to sign into the contract, right? Like, I just wonder if there's given that it seems to be just a glitch, that if we couldn't have some kind of formal communication or something via email that kind of allows us to move forward and feel comfortable moving forward until the permit can be issued.
Our rule was something in writing, even if it's not the contract.
Correct, right.
If it's send us an email with a signature, something in writing that somebody cannot deny later. You know, they can deny a telephone conversation, they can't deny something in writing.
I mean, I know that you spent a career waiting for people and I don't wait very well. And thankfully, I don't deal with government very often, but, you know, if GM did this to me, I'd be screaming at somebody. Totally unacceptable. You know, they have to speed up to come to a complete stop. It's government at its worst. You know,
So the 4-month delay in new vehicles being produced, did you weren't screwing with that?
so
The
the roadman is out there just so I can yell at him.
That's when it got good, it was only 4 months, right? Okay, thanks, Ray.
Larry, do you have anything you want to add on this?
I feel your frustration with the DEC. I'm dealing with it with the arms people, with ambulances. The state bureaucracy is thick and it's tangled.
Yeah.
DEC threw a curveball at us last fall because apparently they rolled out a new process for notifying the DEC of negative declarations for the seeker that we worked through last year. And we didn't find out about it until they said you didn't do it. So it's been a struggle, a start and a stop, and it costs us more money in lawyers because everybody forgets what they've done. We've got a couple little details we need to work out with the map plan and report that the engineering people aren't getting back to my legal people. Apparently some old verbiage didn't get removed or snuck back into the map plan and report. So, and our attorney, town attorney, is not able to understand the financial piece, the numbers that are inside that report. And he's reached out to Hunt. I think Jody's been copied on that, or not Hunt,
Keystone.
Keystone. So we're trying to get a dialogue with that and get these few little last details done and out of the way. We are working on writing the water and sewer law that we need to get done for this park. The attorney's been prioritized to work on this, but he needs the support from the engineering group to finish this up. There should be no substantial changes in those IMAs. Just there's a couple of numbers that need to come out of the map plan and reports. Once they're in there, I've got the authority to sign those. You know, board's already given the authority for me to make that happen as long as nothing changes it. So we're just working our way through those details, and everybody's going to be happy when this dirt finally starts moving and you guys can take it off the project list. No doubt about it. Me too. Me too.
Jody said he's gonna have a bottle of champagne with you.
I think I use scotch. That champagne's not going to be strong enough, but
I'm not sure if budget can afford scotch.
that'll be a happy day. Well, I got this big supervisor salary now, so you know.
Good for you, Larry.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So that's the synopsis on Bridgefield and nothing else.
Any day.
It's kind of sad that we're celebrating, we want to celebrate putting a shovel in.
Well, I mean, we could have done that.
No, I mean, that's what you're,
Yeah.
it's not that we have a building going on, it's that we just gotta get.
We got a yes or another may I. We got one more yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we,
Other states.
my understanding is, we don't have approval from Public Service Commission yet on the natural gas line, correct?
That's correct.
So, I mean, we normally would think it would be a good idea, here the
I
whole
thought that-
road
I-
part, put all three lines in at the same
I
time.
thought that was said last fall, PSC.
Not yet.
Was sent to the PSC in January, I believe. And now it's 3 months later and they haven't set a public hearing yet.
So we could put the lines in if they don't approve it. And we just got the lines out.
That's right.
Never mind.
Anyway, I guess we'll go with Pony on a Rail Yard. Have some more upbeat, positive business there.
I've been having several discussions with Rich Bremer, from the county highway superintendent, and he brought before his committee last month a proposal to use ground asphalt that they do throughout the county, to use that as a base layer for Roundhouse Road. He may have to put a mortar or two in, then to repave it with a top coat of asphalt. His estimate is probably about $30,000. But if we went ahead and looked at doing it by bid, it would cost us substantially more. It cost us probably $70,000 just for the design.
So this is not stone. Oh, okay. Well, that's a change.
And it's a substantial savings to our agency. We're just taking materials and time. He says he would have it done in about probably 2 or 3 days. I'm waiting for him to get back to me for a final unit price as well as a schedule. But he plans on doing it this summer. And his committee unanimously agreed with it. And basically, while we are not a county agency, we've had a much better relationship with the county, and because we're part of a large part of their budget right now, they can afford to help economic development.
How does this tie in with, doing some property clearance.
That we probably are gonna go out to, we've had specs with the around here, so we'll probably have to go down in April, May, probably next month. We have identified firms that will send it to.
Ideally, would we want to get that done before they start the road work? Or not?
That's the dilemma I've been raising with myself. It probably would make sense to get in before they do the phase-in.
But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yes, but I mean, like, there's gonna be, you know, hopefully future development cleanup anyways, so.
Yeah. And the construction vehicles can unload, they do it on roads that are paved and don't
Right.
abuse them. I think that's less of a concern, but let's do something even if it's wrong.
I'm not sure I agree.
We can't handle that. I mean, you gotta see some activity or something, okay?
You can't do them simultaneously, that's my.
But
yes,
yeah.
Right, I've got to reach out to some of the businesses down there, particularly the feed company, make sure that they don't, they're gonna be interrupted for 2 or 3 days while we put the pavements in.
Well, just on that end, it would be 2 or 3 days, I would think. And he can work around that, I'm sure Steve.
Because he comes past you, doesn't he?
Yeah, in and out fast.
And separately comes down.
Trucks aren't allowed,
Okay.
they like it. We'll do much conversation about that. So, what else have we got, Jody? New and exciting.
Cheryl and I met yesterday, we're gonna have a more efficient, director's report, CEO's report, for next month. Probably the biggest issue, I had a meeting yesterday with a gentleman from Benzio. There's a proposal to put in a 50-unit housing complex in Village of Cooperstown. This is their 4th project they're doing in New York State. They've done housing projects all throughout the state. I know
Is this public housing, private housing, low income housing, subsidized housing?
housing.
I would be sure that I let the politics of Cooperstown play out before I put them up.
Well, it has the support of
Trustees are on board. Yeah.
What about the people who complain about it?
I think there's support for housing, it's always gonna come down to where it is, but this site really doesn't encroach.
Can you tell us where the site is?
It's right by Bruce Hall. It's, 217 is Jim Florzak's warehouse, if you know that name,
Okay.
so.
Right here, that's up for that little Eggway was converted into a hotel.
It's in that same, it's on Railroad Ave.
Yep.
It's in that,
I know
this is
exactly.
Grove in Maine.
Yep.
That Jody's talking about.
Yep, right, okay.
The benefit to this project that the village sees, the village board and the mayor sees, is that they don't have enough workers for some of the hotels and they can't afford to live there. But this is an opportunity for people to rent an apartment there and work at the side, for example.
Are we signing there?
They are working, I believe, with Springbrook. On, I think 8 units.
8 units. It's gonna be 50 units total, 8 for Springbrook. And we've received 1.78 million to defray the cost of those 8 units.
I think
For
that
that,
brings another
and it's-
level of calmness to the community because Springbrook has a good reputation. And it's not just like who's moving in there, who's gonna take care of these people.
I have to say the advance movement on this from Ellen, the mayor, and the board has been very intense. They've all known about it, they've been partners in it. They understand I think that parcel, Andy, has had a lot of ideas
It has,
and
yeah.
difficulty with the owner, and it has just kind of gotten worse and worse and worse. So it's not going anywhere.
Who owns it now?
Jim Florzak.
He's still,
Yeah, he started where it all began. that-
yeah.
He literally, he just has his storage building. I guess there's
Yep.
a lot of collectibles and a car. I've heard rumors.
Just a crazy place, a
Yeah.
crazy place. So, and they have, and it's 50 to 80% AMI, looking at that. So, and our folks would be at 80% AMI. They're a good company. We've worked with them in Ithaca and they have a place in Troy. And Cooperstown really doesn't have a lot of housing that's affordable and accessible, especially with the baseball camps and rentals. I've been surprised no, I haven't been surprised. I just think Ellen's done a really good job of keep people informed. The location is really good. Doesn't make people kind of crazy.
And, I think that the success of the Josh Edmonds apartment across from your office
Yep,
Yeah, it's just.
has been a positive thing because
Yeah.
it was well done.
Yeah.
It's conspicuous.
yeah.
So that was a positive. Is this a pilot potential?
Their mortgage recording fees, a pilot agreement, and sales taxes. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for probably a 30-year pilot. I did talk to the mayor about that, and she now understands why they have to have a 30-year unit. Springer got a 25 years. This project out here got 40 years. 30 years is not unreasonable. We did tell them when I met with them yesterday. I gave them an example of what we need to justify that 30 years on a cash flow basis and debt service. In order to prove to us that they need a 30-year as opposed to a 20 year. And they do not have a problem with our fees, either our one-time fee of 1% or our annual fee. They'll just factor those
Yeah,
into the numbers.
you and that guy will not be around to celebrate the end of that pilot. That's all I'm saying.
Wait a minute, I got a plan for 25 more years.
It's a 30-year.
Guess we do 100, none.
Andy, you don't see any roadblocks with the,
No, I mean, even with Albro Road, which is unfortunately on hold, and that's
Right.
more of a Bassett issue. I think that, that this project, that Averill is more, issues with the road and,
Yeah.
it is more encroaching on other residential.
this one just doesn't.
This one doesn't, it is a commercial, area, Railroad Avenue itself is, and that warehouse takes up a big footprint,
Yeah.
so.
Just a little positive.
And for the people that
it would
live
be
in there,
great.
they can walk to the grocery store. I mean, it's just a.
Yeah, there'll be some pushback, but it's
little
gonna,
bit.
I don't think it'll be like Averill, it's, I don't exactly know who will push back, but I'm sure there'll be somebody.
So are the taxes current today?
Yes,
And what are they? Do you know?
I actually don't know, I haven't looked that up, but I can look it up real quick on real property.
Even on the first year of the pilot, that'd be a plus.
We think the Averill Road is all, it isn't public housing, and they've had a tremendous.
Right, that would be on market.
I mean, that was all market rate, it was apartments, townhouses.
Right.
Cooperstown needs more housing.
So,
Across
but
the
once
board,
again,
They don't have.
with that project, other than near a neighbor, why is everybody, well, they need housing and that's housing for
In
people.
April,
Yeah, why is it so
It
negative?
was one neighbor actually that was
Yep.
suing, so it,
if you've got money to sue, it takes time.
yes,
That's a script.
We had a house in April, we sold it.
it's Templeton Fountain.
Templeton.
I think it's always not my backyard. It's not my
So
backyard,
she-
or anybody.
Right.
They were looking
Yeah,
across
it's
at Woods and all of a sudden, now I don't get those
pictures.
You're looking at, oh, that's
Oh,
not my backyard. Good God, I'm not, then you end up the process.
So the other positive thing on this project is that, our town law actually refers them to us. So the village has, they appreciate what we're doing.
Is there a timeline? When they would like to get started, you know?
Right now, they're dealing with the village's historic preservation commission. Because it is in a historic district, the building was a contributory to it. The village has indicated that they would support having the building taken down. as long as they have some design guidelines. They've already met with SHPO on it. SHPO says it's likely that they'll give permission to have the building taken down.
So I think the timing of it is with HCR, and that application is that they've gotten the OPW money through Springbrook 1.7, but they're looking at HCR. That'll come sometime in the summer, and they're looking next spring to be at a point where they'd be,
Start construction.
Right, they're,
That was my question.
yeah.
they're working on the IDA's application right now. They expect to have that done in 2 or 3 months. They would like to get a tentative approval on it. And I said, we can't approve it until the planning commission approves your site plan. So they're gonna work on that simultaneously.
The fact that SHPO has kind of already signed off on it is a real positive, because that can be,
Yeah, they can,
you know about that.
oh, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
We worked on something for, I think, 2 years one time.
yeah.
They're a good group. I mean, and he's come down, the president of the firm has come down and met with Ellen today. I think they'll be good partners
I think
with us.
very positive. It's great.
I do have the tax info. Well, the full market value is 461,463. But the tax info, unfortunately, county, the only 2017 info is included, but it was like 4,300 on school tax, 1,900 on the village, and like almost 1,200 for the county. So it's like, not like, it's basically the value of a house. Right now. So
I was gonna say.
it was like, no tax in this project.
Estimated total project cost, do we know?
I
About 20 to 22 million.
I think it's 20, 25.
Even with a pilot, it's gonna be positive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tax and
Our fee will be probably 200,000 on closing and probably about 14,000 every year after, so. It's sort of cash.
we could meet in Costa Rica.
Well, now that we do it on.
I know Vecino was very happy to meet with you, Jody, yesterday, and really appreciated that time.
Okay, so next item.
Really quickly, Megan, went to the county board, got your micro enterprise grant all awarded.
Yes, they're all, I'm just,
It was in your sheet, so we'll those.
So that means now funds can flow?
yeah, we're actually working on the, first disbursement now. We're actually waiting on SHPO to approve the environmental reviews on each project, so. And there's no construction, so it really should just be a, yeah, but it's been 2 weeks. So that's what we're waiting for, and then we can submit the first.
So, and then the last thing is, because I'm doing some other additional work, I'm going to today have the Brooks bottling plant expansion grant application. I'm going to hand that over to the senior. So, we're gonna do assignment today.
How much?
I didn't know, but now you know.
No pressure.
It's probably about $185,000 application.
Great.
But the HCR, the Division of Housing and Community Renewal, has already reviewed the preliminaries. We're just reissuing it because Brooks wanted to delay the grant. So we're doing it. They've already pretty much said that. And then the last thing I have is we're gonna hand out.
Pretty colors.
This is as we continue to refine kind of what happened and how we share information, so this is.
So these are, since the beginning of the year, the active leads that we received from Tinwell are still active right now. The ones in the pink color will be coming off this because we just don't meet the requirements of these projects. But it'll give you an idea of which ones we responded to and which ones we don't meet.
And just so, yeah, as Jody mentioned, so the red will stay on there for a session and then they'll come off, just so you guys are aware of the ones that were there and then didn't meet the qualifications. Trying to keep the list.
So, that's really all I have for this meeting.
Joey, do we know the company's expressed interest in the rail yards for citing what it is they do?
Yes. They manufacture chemicals for wastewater treatment and water treatment plants. That's what they do.
And their conversation is building a facility in the rail yards or just having
I
a,
reached out to them yesterday because one of the things that they asked for 2 weeks ago was contacts with New York State Electric and Gas to find out the gas availability.
So roll call.
next time.
So that might be read next.
Next time.
Yes, I can, we go.
Yeah, I just have a quick question on Northern Eagle, that property.
I reached out to Empire State Development about that 2 days ago. And they said they don't know what happened to the project. There's still, Empire State Development sends you these requests, you send the information on sites back to Empire State Development. But Empire State Development doesn't follow through and telling us what happened to that project. I don't know what's going on.
But the Brown Street Northern Eagle beverage facility is available, that we're covering?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not using all of their space.
So,
Great.
and then lastly on that list, the last one is from Brett from the town. He's working on the yellow fellow. I did indicate they need help. Just so it's no, he did send them the appraisal for the property, so they can share that with the company. See, I think it's all on that.
Right, any new and unfinished visions for projects?
The only other thing is, we're getting a lot of solar requests, and we're probably going to add those somewhere into a separate project category, maybe on a project tracker. Because right now, I think we have 5 open requests. The problem with solar companies is they can notify the county 2 years ago that they were going ahead with the project, and they won't hear from them for 2 or 3 years, and then they resurface. And I'm afraid we're gonna have 5 or 6 of them all resurface within 6 months. And fortunately, the county did adopt opting out of section 45 of the tax law, so either they get full taxes or they have to negotiate a pilot with the IDA, which would be additional revenues to us.
We have an attorney that's really well versed in both solar thing.
No.
Period.
No one's gonna count.
Don't hang it.
The county's attorney is referring, I think, all the questions to Joe Scott. I told Joe, if they do that, you should bill the county, not us.
They haven't been anybody with that kind of expertise, do they?
Well, they have some people in the law firm that have expertise in it, but it's not anybody that we've been dealing with in the past, not Joe Scott or not.
But would it be proper to tell Joe and somebody in his firm and set up a relationship, someone contact, so it's orderly, you know, and we do a little legwork, so whenever the inquiry comes, it doesn't just happen. You know, they must have someone who specializes in it. Who is it? How do we know? How do we give that number, name, contact information to the people inquiring from the county or from an outside source? So, you know, it streamlines the operation other than let something happen. You know, when it starts, they're gonna ask people, and we'll call this guy, we'll call this guy. To me, you know, a service to someone inquiring on investing money in the county would be, yes, we have a person, here's his number. Can Joe do that? Can we have a conversation? Or do we want to? I would make it efficient if we're gonna do it. I should say, I would prefer to make it efficient.
Yeah, I think the gentleman that is most proficient in their firm is in Rochester.
That's okay, we have phones and Zooms. You know, if we're gonna be in the business, we ought to set up communications
Or do we go to a different firm?
Or a different
Like
firm.
Young, I know Young and Summers out of Albany is an environmental firm. I don't know if they may not be the best, but they're pretty well known.
We've been involved with, solar development companies in Albany for years, and we have attorneys that work in those transactions, so I'll find out who
Great.
is involved.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but don't you all think for our contribution to development in the county, being able to have contacts for people to call would be a benefit?
Yes, I'll reach out to some, Young and some.
Well, I would wait to hear what Jeff has.
Yeah,
Because
what
it's,
Jeff has.
you're talking about.
And, yeah, I mean, we'll collect 2 or 3.
The thing that concerns me about all this is because of the siting board, the new rules. If the production reaches a certain limit, then the
The
localities
state
have
takes
no,
over.
localities have no control over any of this, which is, you know, I don't know if all these localities know that, but you know, you can have a moratorium in your town and it won't mean a damn thing if this is a major project that gets to a certain megawatt level. And that can make people in some of these towns really unhappy.
Well, one of the questions I have, and that's why I want we can collect some attorneys that are experts in this, is the assessment calculations.
Yeah.
Right now, the state taxation department has a model assessment plan that you're supposed to use. It doesn't say you have to use it. And that's one of the questions I've asked Joe Scott. He's checking with his people.
So what did we do with?
It would seem we could get this down to some kind of consistent process and, right, like.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be.
Horny was a straight, almost a straight pilot.
Okay.
And it went to-
I don't want to belabor the point, so
Anyway.
let's get some advice and go forward.
Let's get some structure on getting ready for this. It's gonna come.
It's coming.
And we can best, and we can best defend it.
And that's one thing I'm bringing up is that it's.
No, no, it's good to be brought up. Yeah, get ready.
What kind of solar panels you could put on your roof?
The office?
Has anybody been here over the last 3 months?
Yeah. You understand what dull and dark looks like? I thought it was an eclipse for the 3 months.
You'd go outside if it was sunny, right?
It was on Tuesday.
Look, it's an eclipse from sunset to sunrise every day.
Anyway, anything else? Move to adjourn.
Moved.